My friends, there comes a time in every generation when people must decide whether to stand still in fear or step forward with faith. We live in such a time right now. The challenges around us are real, the noise is loud, but the future does not belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who believe, who work, and who refuse to give up. And that is the message today. You have the power to shape tomorrow, if you dare to rise above the obstacles of today. Unity is where it begins. Alone we may stumble, but together we climb mountains. Division may shout the loudest, but it never lasts. What endures is the strength of people coming together across differences, choosing cooperation over conflict, and realizing that our destinies are tied to one another. When we stand united, there is no storm we cannot withstand. Resilience is the fire that carries us through hardship. Life does not spare us from struggle, but every setback is an invitation to rise. Each time we get back up, we prove to ourselves that we are stronger than we thought. Resilience is not about pretending the pain doesn't exist. It is about standing tall in spite of it. It is the quiet strength that turns losses into lessons and obstacles into stepping stones. Courage is what drives progress. Fear whispers to us every day, telling us to stay small, to remain silent, to avoid risk. But courage demands something greater. It asks us to act despite fear, to speak when silence feels safer, to walk forward even when the ground shakes beneath us. History has proven that every breakthrough, every movement, every leap forward was made by those who chose courage over comfort. Hard work is the foundation of every dream fulfilled. Nothing lasting is built on shortcuts or excuses. Success is not owed to us. It is earned through the hours no one sees, the persistence no one celebrates, and the effort we give when quitting seems easier. Hard work transforms potential into achievement and teaches us that greatness is never given. Justice is the measure of our character. Standing for what is right is never easy. It requires sacrifice and strength. Silence in the face of injustice may feel safer, but it leaves a stain on the soul. Change only comes when people are willing to lift their voices, even when their voices tremble. Justice is not granted. It is demanded by those who refuse to give up the fight for fairness and dignity. Hope is the light that guides us through the darkness. It is not blind optimism, but the conviction that tomorrow can be better if we are willing to work for it. Hope is what carried past generations through wars, struggles, and trials, and it is what will carry us forward today. With hope, even the hardest challenges lose their power to break us. The future belongs to the young, and investing in them is our greatest responsibility. What we teach, the opportunities we create, and the values we model will determine the world they inherit. Education, fairness, and opportunity are the keys we must pass on. If the next generation is prepared, then the future will always be brighter than the past. Accountability is the promise that our actions matter. It begins with owning our mistakes, learning from them, and making better choices. It extends to how we treat others, how we care for our communities, and how we protect the future. Accountability transforms ordinary people into leaders, because it insists that responsibility cannot be passed to someone else. It belongs to each of us. Diversity is not a weakness, but a strength. Our differences in culture, language, and perspective enrich the human story. When we listen, learn, and respect one another, we unlock creativity and solutions that would never exist in isolation. A society that honors diversity is stronger, wiser, and more compassionate, because it understands that unity is not sameness, it is harmony. And through it all, never stop believing in a better tomorrow. The road may be difficult, the night may be long, but the dawn always comes. Believing in tomorrow is an act of courage, an act of resilience, and an act of faith. Each step forward, no matter how small, brings us closer to that future. Hold on to it, work for it, live for it, because tomorrow is not written for us. It is written by us. When we come together not as strangers, not as rivals, but as neighbors, we discover a strength that no division can ever break. Unity has always been the foundation of progress. Alone we may stumble, but together we can climb mountains. The story of humanity has shown time and again that when people put aside their differences and focus on what binds them, they achieve the impossible. That is why the call to stand as one is not just a dream, but a necessity for building a future worth believing in. Resilience is the force that carries us through the storms of life. Every one of us faces hardship, disappointment, and setbacks, but those moments do not define us. What defines us is the choice to rise again, to stand tall after being knocked down, and to keep moving even when the path is rough. Resilience is not about never falling. It is about refusing to stay down. It is the fire that keeps burning even in the darkest night, guiding us toward a brighter dawn. Courage is the key that unlocks progress. Fear will always try to whisper in our ears, telling us to stay quiet, to stay small, to avoid risk. But courage pushes us forward when fear would hold us back. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move ahead despite it. It is in the act of speaking up for what is right, in defending those who cannot defend themselves, and in daring to dream when others doubt. Without courage, no great leap forward has ever been made. Hope is the light that keeps us from losing our way. It is not blind optimism or wishful thinking. It is the belief that tomorrow can be better if we are willing to work for it. Hope carried generations through the harshest winters and the darkest struggles, and it will carry us through the challenges of today. It gives us the strength to keep building, keep striving, and keep believing in a future that reflects the best of who we are. Without hope, the weight of the world becomes unbearable. With it, nothing is beyond our reach. And in the end, our legacy will not be measured by what we claim for ourselves, but by what we leave behind for those who come after us. The next generation is watching, learning and waiting to inherit the world we create. They will judge us not by our words but by our actions. If we can embrace unity, resilience, courage, and hope, then we will leave them a future brighter than our own. The responsibility lies with us, here and now, to shape that tomorrow. It will not be written by chance. It will be written by the choices we make today. Our lives are not defined by the obstacles we face, but by the way we rise after we've been knocked down. Hardship is a part of every journey. Yet what separates those who grow from those who remain stuck is the decision to keep moving forward. The moments that test us the most are the very moments that can shape our strength. Every setback is an invitation to stand taller, to learn, and to find a new path when the old one seems blocked. Resilience is not about pretending the struggle doesn't hurt. It is about recognizing the pain, acknowledging the weight, and still choosing to move forward. Life will always present trials that feel overwhelming, but hidden within those trials are lessons that prepare us for greater challenges ahead. Each time we get back up, we prove to ourselves that we are stronger than we thought, and that strength becomes a foundation for everything that follows. The truth is, resilience is built in small steps. It is not a single act of bravery, but the daily decision to keep showing up. It's waking up when you feel tired, trying again after failure, and refusing to let fear have the final word. Over time, these small acts of persistence create unshakable character. Resilience is not a gift handed to us. It is a muscle we strengthen every day, through perseverance. When we look at the stories of those who came before us, we see this same truth. Great leaders, inventors, and change makers were not spared from difficulty. In fact, most of them faced failures that could have broken them. But instead of giving in, they turned those failures into stepping stones. Their lives remind us that the difference between defeat and victory is often just the willingness to try once more. And so the message is clear. Resilience is the bridge between struggle and success. It is the quiet strength that carries us when nothing else seems possible. To embrace resilience is to embrace growth, because every challenge overcome adds to the depth of who we are. Life will continue to test us, but if we choose to rise each time, then no setback, no loss, and no failure can ever define us. Fear is a natural part of life, something that touches every one of us at different moments. It creeps in when the path ahead is unclear, when the stakes feel high, or when the possibility of failure looms large. Yet fear, if left unchecked, does not guide us forward. It holds us back. It whispers that we are not ready, not capable, not worthy of the challenge before us. When we listen only to fear, we remain stuck where we are, never discovering the strength that lies within us. Courage, on the other hand, is the choice to act despite the presence of fear. It is not the absence of doubt or uncertainty, but the determination to move forward anyway. Courage is what allows us to step into the unknown, to speak when silence feels safer, and to take risks when comfort tempts us to stay still. It builds bridges where fear would have left walls, and it opens doors to opportunities that fear would have kept locked. True courage is not always loud or dramatic. Often it shows itself in quiet decisions, the willingness to stand up for what is right, to keep working when the odds seem against us, or to reach out a hand to someone in need. These small acts of bravery may not make headlines, but together they shape a life of integrity and strength. Courage is not measured by the absence of mistakes, but by the willingness to try again after setbacks. History teaches us that every great achievement was born out of courage. The progress we admire today was once just a bold step taken by someone who refused to be ruled by fear. From social movements to scientific breakthroughs, the story is the same. Courage pushed humanity forward when fear insisted it could not be done. Each generation has its own trials, and each generation has the chance to decide whether it will be guided by fear or by bravery. If we choose courage, the future opens before us with possibility. Fear may still knock at the door, but it no longer controls the path we walk. Courage teaches us that even the smallest step forward is a victory, and that with every act of bravery we create a ripple that inspires others to do the same. The world belongs to those willing to take that step, to those who believe that progress requires boldness, and to those who understand that courage, not fear, is what shapes a brighter tomorrow. It appears in moments of change, in the uncertainty of new beginnings, and in the silence of our doubts. Fear can be powerful, convincing us to stay where it feels safe, urging us to avoid risks that might lead to failure. Left unchecked, it paralyzes our potential, trapping us in cycles of hesitation. It tells us to settle for less, to remain silent when our voices are needed, and to shrink back when life calls us forward. Courage, however, is the answer to fear. It is not the absence of doubt, but the decision to move forward, even when doubt is present. Courage means walking into the unknown, accepting that failure might come, yet knowing that growth will come too. It allows us to speak out when silence would be easier, to act when standing still would bring more comfort. Courage is the bridge that carries us over fear's divide, turning hesitation into determination, and uncertainty into progress. What many forget is that courage is often quiet. It does not always roar or demand attention. Sometimes courage is simply raising your hand in a crowded room, sharing an idea when you fear judgment, or standing beside someone who feels alone. Other times it is found in the long hours of hard work, when no one is watching, in the decision to get back up after failure, or in the choice to keep moving toward a dream others say is impossible. These small acts of bravery repeated over time create a life that refuses to be ruled by fear. History itself is a reminder of what courage makes possible. Every movement that reshaped societies, every discovery that expanded human understanding, and every stand for justice began with someone daring to step forward in the face of fear. The future has always been written not by those who hid in comfort, but by those who chose bravery when the outcome was uncertain. Each generation faces moments where fear tempts us to pause, but it is courage that carries us across the threshold of change. The truth is, courage opens doors fear would keep shut. It unlocks our potential, strengthens our resolve, and inspires others to believe in their own strength. When we choose courage, we claim ownership of our lives and our future. The timid may stand still, but the brave move forward, and it is through that movement that new possibilities are created. The future belongs not to those who avoid risk, but to those who embrace it with faith and determination. In every step of courage, no matter how small, we build a tomorrow that fear alone could never give us. Hard work has always been the foundation of real achievement. Dreams are easy to imagine, but they remain distant unless we are willing to put in the effort required to bring them to life. Wishing alone has never built anything lasting. What creates progress is the willingness to wake up each day with discipline, to face the tasks that may seem small or repetitive, and to keep moving forward even when the rewards are not immediate. Hard work is what turns vision into reality. The truth about hard work is that it is often quiet and unseen. It does not always come with recognition or applause. Many of the greatest accomplishments were built in the shadows of persistence, in the hours when no one was watching. Those who achieve the most understand that success is rarely about sudden breakthroughs. It is the result of steady, determined effort. Hard work is the hidden force that prepares us for the moments when opportunity finally arrives. There will always be temptations to choose the easier path. Shortcuts may seem attractive, and excuses may sound convincing, but nothing lasting is built on excuses. The value of hard work lies in the discipline it creates, and the strength it instills. Every time we push past laziness, every time we give more when it would be easier to stop, we build resilience. That resilience carries over into every part of life, shaping not just our achievements, but our character. When we look at the lives of those who have left a mark on history, a common thread is visible. Whether in art, science, leadership, or innovation, their success was never simply a matter of talent. It was talent multiplied by effort, sharpened by practice, and strengthened by countless hours of work. Hard work is the equalizer, the tool that allows ordinary people to do extraordinary things. It ensures that dreams are not just imagined, but fulfilled. The value of hard work is not only in what it helps us achieve, but in who we become because of it. It teaches patience, persistence, and humility. It reminds us that success is not owed to us, but earned by us. Each effort adds up, each small step builds momentum, and over time, those steps create a path to greatness. To embrace hard work is to embrace growth, knowing that while the road may be difficult, the destination is always worth the journey. Justice is not always the most convenient path, but it is always the necessary one. Standing for what is right often means standing against what is popular, and that can be uncomfortable. It requires us to challenge systems, traditions, and even people we respect when they fall short of fairness. Justice demands courage,
because it is rarely offered freely. It is claimed through persistence and sacrifice. To stand for justice, even when it is hard, is to choose principle over comfort. The moments that test our commitment to justice are often the ones that define us most. Silence in the face of wrongdoing may seem easier in the moment, but it leaves a mark on our conscience. When we speak out against injustice, we take a risk, but we also honor the values that make a society stronger. Change has never come from those who stayed quiet. It has always come from those who raised their voices, even when their voices trembled. Justice also requires consistency. It is not something to be defended only when it benefits us personally. It must be pursued even when it costs us something. That is the measure of true integrity. Standing for justice, in small everyday situations, builds the strength to confront larger injustices when they arise, whether in the workplace, in our communities, or on the world stage. The fight for justice is built one choice at a time. History reminds us that every great movement toward progress was led by people who refused to accept injustice as permanent. They faced ridicule, resistance, and sometimes violence, yet their persistence reshaped nations. Their courage teaches us that justice is not granted. It is demanded, often at a high price. Each generation has the responsibility to continue that work, to confront its own challenges, and to refuse to let injustice go unanswered. In the end, standing for justice is about more than policies or speeches. It is about people. It is about protecting the dignity of every individual, ensuring fairness for every community, and making sure no one is left behind. Justice is the cornerstone of trust and the foundation of peace. When we choose it, even when it is hard, we not only improve the present, but also set the stage for a more honest and hopeful future. The true measure of greatness is not found in the wealth we gather or the recognition we receive, but in the opportunities we create for those who come after us. Every generation inherits a world shaped by the choices of the one before, and with that truth comes responsibility. To invest in the next generation is to understand that our actions today ripple far beyond our own life. It is to recognize that the progress we make must be sustainable, so that our children and grandchildren can stand on stronger ground than we did. Investing in the next generation begins with education, because knowledge is the key that unlocks potential. When young people have access to quality learning, they are equipped to dream bigger, solve harder problems, and contribute in ways that lift entire communities. But education is not just about classrooms. It is about teaching values, resilience, and compassion. Preparing the next generation means giving them the tools not only to succeed, but to lead with wisdom and integrity. Opportunity also means ensuring fairness. Too often, a child's future is determined by where they are born, the resources of their family, or the limitations of their environment. True investment in the next generation requires us to break those barriers, to create systems that open doors instead of closing them. When we ensure that every child has the chance to reach their potential, regardless of their background, we strengthen not only their lives, but the fabric of society itself. It is also our duty to be role models. Young people learn not only from what we tell them, but from what we show them. If they see us working hard, treating others with respect, and standing up for what is right, they will carry those lessons forward. Our actions plant seeds in their hearts and minds, seeds that grow into the kind of leadership the world will one day need. Investing in the next generation is not just about resources, but about living in a way that inspires them to aim higher. Ultimately, the legacy we leave is not measured by how far we ourselves climbed, but by how many others we helped to rise. When we create opportunities for the young, when we protect their future and give them hope, we are building a foundation stronger than any individual achievement. To invest in the next generation is to believe in tomorrow, and to act today with the knowledge that the future belongs not to us, but to them. Accountability begins with the understanding that real change does not come from waiting for someone else to act. It comes from the choices we make each day, and the willingness to accept responsibility for the consequences of those choices. Too often it feels easier to blame circumstances, leaders, or systems for what goes wrong. But accountability reminds us that we are not powerless. Each of us has the ability to influence the world around us, and it starts with owning our role in shaping it. Taking responsibility requires honesty. It means acknowledging mistakes instead of hiding them, and learning from them instead of repeating them. Accountability is not about perfection, but about growth. When we admit where we fall short, we give ourselves the chance to improve, and we earn the trust of those who look to us for leadership. Without accountability, progress stalls, because denial leaves no room for change. Accountability also extends beyond our personal lives. It reaches into how we treat others, how we care for our communities, and how we safeguard the future. To be accountable is to recognize that the decisions we make today will affect people we may never meet. It is understanding that our responsibility stretches beyond ourselves, and that the legacy we leave will be judged, not only by what we built, but by how we built it. When accountability is embraced collectively, it becomes a force for transformation. Communities grow stronger when people hold themselves and one another to high standards. Nations become more just when leaders are answerable to the people they serve. A culture of accountability ensures that promises are not empty, that words are matched by actions, and that progress is not delayed by excuses. In the end, accountability is about ownership. It is the recognition that the world we leave behind is shaped by our decisions, our actions, and even our silence. To be accountable is to stand up and say, the responsibility is mine, and I will not pass it on to someone else. It is a mindset that transforms ordinary people into leaders and challenges into opportunities. When we live with accountability, we honor not only ourselves, but also the generations who will walk the path we have laid before them. Diversity is one of the greatest strengths a society can have. Our differences in culture, language, faith, and experience are not barriers to unity, but bridges to deeper understanding. Each person carries a unique story, shaped by heritage and circumstance, and when these stories come together, they enrich the fabric of our shared humanity. To celebrate diversity is to recognize that our collective identity is not weakened by our differences, but strengthened by them. When people from different walks of life work together, innovation flourishes. New ideas are born from varied perspectives, and solutions emerge that no single viewpoint could have created alone. History shows that progress has often come when diverse voices were allowed to contribute, whether in science, art, politics, or community life. Diversity is not just about representation, it is about unlocking the creativity and wisdom that comes when many minds and backgrounds collaborate toward a common goal. Yet diversity also challenges us, because it asks us to move beyond comfort zone. It requires us to listen when it would be easier to ignore, to respect when it would be easier to dismiss, and to embrace when it would be easier to exclude. True celebration of diversity does not mean avoiding differences, but learning from them. It is through this learning that tolerance grows into respect, and respect grows into unity. Communities that celebrate diversity are stronger and more resilient. They are better equipped to handle challenges because they draw from a wider pool of experiences and ideas. They are more just because they value every individual's dignity, and they are more hopeful because they reflect a belief that everyone has a role to play in shaping the future. Diversity does not divide. It weaves together a society that is richer, wiser, and more compassionate. Ultimately, to celebrate diversity as strength is to affirm that every person matters. It is to see differences not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow closer, to learn more, and to build something greater together. The world's beauty lies in its variety, and when we embrace that truth, we discover that unity is not about sameness. It is about harmony. A society that lifts every voice, honors every background, and values every perspective will always stand taller and shine brighter than one that shuts them out. Believing in a better tomorrow begins with the simple conviction that progress is always possible. Life is filled with challenges that test our patience and strength, but those challenges are not the end of the story. History shows that even in the darkest times, people who refused to give up paved the way for brighter days. The belief in tomorrow gives us the strength to endure today, knowing that every step forward, no matter how small, carries us closer to change. The path to a better future is rarely smooth. There will be setbacks, disappointments, and moments when the weight of struggle feels unbearable. But these moments are not signs of defeat. They are proof that the journey is real and meaningful. Every person who has achieved something lasting has faced resistance and doubt. What set them apart was their decision to keep moving, to keep believing when others told them to stop. Hope for tomorrow does not mean ignoring the reality of today. It means confronting the present with courage and determination, while holding on to the vision of what could be. It is a reminder that no hardship lasts forever, and no night is so long that it prevents the dawn. Believing in tomorrow is an act of resilience. It is choosing to see possibility where others see only obstacles. This belief also has the power to inspire others. When one person holds on to hope, it creates a ripple effect. Families, communities, and even nations can be lifted by the courage of a few who refuse to surrender to despair. Believing in a better tomorrow is not only a personal choice, it is a gift we give to those around us, a reminder that they too can endure, rise, and rebuild. In the end, progress belongs to those who walk forward with faith in the unseen The world changes because people refuse to stop believing in the future, even when the present feels heavy. Every generation has been carried forward by this same spirit, and ours is no different. If we hold on to the conviction that tomorrow can be better, and if we are willing to work for it, then no setback can break us, and no obstacle can hold us back from creating the future we dream of.